Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here, NBC Sports Bay Area. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube page. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. It is Saturday and it is the last day of the NFL Combine. For at least media, we can go watch the drills, but ultimately, all the players have interviewed and with us. And I posted a little video of what the whole setup looks like. There's 8 podiums, a couple side tables, and each prospect comes out and does a podium availability with the media. So those are all over. They do go through some more testing now, and then they'll go over to the stadium and they will do all those workouts. So last group to go through was offensive linemen. Um, a lot of them, I think they're the easiest guys to talk to. Unfortunately, when you get to this point in the combine, all of the major media groups have moved to Lucas Oil Stadium. They're there to cover the drills. Coming up, obviously, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. So that's kind of the biggest eye candy part of the combine. And so the whole media center is kind of quiet for the offensive linemen, which are really, if you think about it, the most important part of a football game. If you don't have offensive linemen, you don't have a football game. So, but these guys are some of my favorite people to interview. They're so much fun. They really understand the game. They understand um, their importance in it. And one of my questions that I asked to all of them was, all right, what age did you decide that you're going to be an offensive lineman? And a lot of them said, hey, I didn't have a choice. I was playing Pee Wee football. They put a sticker on my helmet and they said, hey, you're an offensive lineman. So whether it was size or whether it was weight or what their ability was, they kind of were tagged as being potential offensive linemen from the start. But a lot of them have a lot of other positions they played, like tight end or running back. A few of them big running backs, but the versatility there, I think, is what they really wanted to showcase. But the big news coming out of the combine is that one of the top guys, Josh Simmons, and he is out of Ohio State. He was coming off with what they thought was an ACL injury. Apparently, it is not an ACL injury. It is a patellar tendon issue. And so that surgery, that injury is just so much more serious than an ACL. It is what Mike McGlinchey had. And he still deals with some pain now. And yes, someone asked me if it was a quad tendon and patellar tendon, same thing. Quad attaches to the patellar. It's the same issue. It does cause a lot of pain. It is really difficult to come back from. Mike McGlinchey told John Lynch that he still has pain from it when he plays. Weston Richburg, had it ended his career. I remember, this is one of these things. I posted a video on Instagram of Debo in 2019 dancing, before they went out to play in that New Orleans game. What a game that was. That was probably one of my favorite NFL games to cover. George Kittle with three guys draped over him. Debo Samuel had a great game as well, but that also was a game where Weston Richburg suffered a knee injury that ended his career. It was also a patellar tendon issue. It's what Drake Jackson is dealing with. Weston Richburg is arguably one of the best centers that the 49ers have had in recent years. And I've talked to George Kittle about him, and he's like, Richburg. He's like, no, nothing against Jake Brendel, but Weston Richburg was one of the best centers. He's like the best center I've ever played with. Just the way his ability to move, his connection and communication with everybody on the line. George Kittle was like a huge Weston Richburg fan. Um, Drake Jackson is dealing with a patellar tendon issue, and he has only appeared in a few games since being drafted pretty high, second round. Basically, he was the 49ers first round pick that year, or first pick. That's what they did because they didn't have any first round picks because of Trey Lance. So, the expectation was that Drake Jackson was going to be the star opposite of Nick Bosa. And Nick Bosa at the beginning, when Drake Jackson got there, was, so impressed by the bend and the ability to kind of really get at an angle to still get out of the pass rusher. And Nick Bosa was like, I wish I could do some of the things that Drake Jackson does. But this patellar tendon injury that he's dealing with has really sidelined him for a long time. He didn't play one game in 24. He played not very many in 23. He played 15 games in 22 when he was, yes, 22 when he was drafted. Um, but man, just it's such a tough injury to come back from. And you just take a look at this here. There was a doctor who was talking about this on social media, and man, just a tough one. So This is what Matt Maiocco reported. Said it was reported that Ohio State left tackle Josh Simmons tore his left ACL in October. He said he actually tore his patellar tendon. It's a totally different thing altogether. Had a formal meeting with the 49ers at the combine with a clean medical. He's an option if he had. Um, with the clean medical, he's an option at 11. So, it's okay. So here we go. Naraf Pandya, he said around 50% of players never return to play based on the data over the past 15 years. 50%, that's a lot. The patellar tendon is so critical to knee function and it is subject to tremendous force that it is hard to come back from, particularly for explosive activities. So, I mean, that's just what that's how tough it is for these guys. Um, if I mean, if it was an ACL instead of a patellar tendon, I would say that, that's your successor for Trent Williams. And now, I mean, he was going to be a first round pick. I just don't think any other team risks it. The 49ers definitely don't at 11. I think there's going to be a lot of other guys that the 49ers will look at, but not in that first or second pick. I really do not think they pick there for an offensive lineman. I can see maybe third round at the highest, fourth, fifth. It's just when you look at the 49ers roster and where there are holes, it's in other places other than offensive line first. I mean, you look at the wide receiver class. I was talking to Charles Davis, to Chris Sims, to Connor Rogers, our draft experts that were at the combine, and they were like, you got to take a guy like there's a top wide receiver, there are top tight ends, there are top pass rushers that probably will impact the game more than an offensive lineman that you could get at 11 or around that time. There's not a lot of activity moving up and down in the draft at this point. That generally happens when there's a lot of quarterbacks, high-end quarterbacks, and someone wants to do a jump up for a quarterback. Not too many people are going to jump up for a tight end or jump up for a wide receiver or a pass rusher. Could happen. I don't know if that the 49ers get any offers at an 11, though. So we'll see what happens. But wrapping things up, I know I promised I would put some of those player interviews up, and I'm going to do that. I've got to just kind of sort through. I actually had my phone tell me I was at max storage. That's fun. So I've got to go through these combine interviews. I'll post them up and let you guys have a look at who the prospects are for all of 32 teams from the NFL Combine. And then we're going to do a podcast, another 49ers talk on Sunday. We'll have my interview with Chris Sims. He's a friend of um, Kyle Shanahan. He's close to John Lynch, really knows the 49ers kind of in and out. Yes, he didn't say that they were going to take Trey Lance. He thought they were going to take uh, a different quarterback, the one that went to New England. But, neither one of them worked out. So, but he does know Kyle's tendencies. And I think that's the most important thing, what he looks for in a wide receiver, what he looks for in a tight end, what he looks for in an offensive lineman. And all of these people that we talked to at the combine kind of pinpointed what the 49ers needs are and kind of narrowed the focus. There were 329 invitees at the combine. We're not going to look at all of them, but they kind of narrowed the focus to who would possibly fit in the 49ers system. So we'll take a look at that in the weeks coming forward. Free agency starts the week of the 10th. So that is coming up soon. How is it, March? Hope you guys are well. I'll see you next time when I'm back in California.